WBNE.
Howdy, yokes. Before we get started today, we want to let you know about a brand new show on WBNE. Coming to the network this week is the Unsobered podcast, going over all sorts of awesome stories of badass women in history, hosted by our very own Julia Kendall, and she does it while a little bit tipsy. Listen to this preview right here.
Hi, I'm Julia, the host of Unsobered, Badass Women of History and Literature, the podcast where I talk about the women that the history books, history classes, and the general public often overlook, or who just get a brief mention, but we never really know the whole story of their impact on the world we live in. On Unsobered, I share the stories and histories of these badass, amazing, and strong women. And while I tell you the history we don't get from traditional history classes, I get more and more drunk over the course of the episode. So join me to learn more about your favorite women, or to find a new favorite woman that you didn't even know contributed to one of your favorite things, with new episodes every other Friday.
Rise and shine, campers, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs. I'm Tyler Carlin.
And I'm Tyler Carlin.
And today we're predicting the future.
Or maybe we're just getting our weather report from a groundhog.
So put your little hand in mine.
And I'm Tyler Carlin.
Because today we're bringing you
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
And I'm Tyler Carlin.
Groundhog Day, directed by Ghostbusters director Harold Ramis, I think.
Nope. Ghostbusters actor and possibly writer, but the director was Ivan Reitman.
Ivan Reitman, that's what it was. Ghostbusters alumni Harold Ramis came out February 12th, 1993, of very few films that I was alive for that Ethan was not.
Yeah, very few films. What this tells me, Tyler, is this is a disturbing fact. You and I are both, this movie was released 10,273 days ago, which means that you and I are both over 10,000 days old.
That is wild. It had a $14.6 to roughly $30 million budget. There's conflicting reports on that. Made $70.9 million worldwide. Got a 96% critic rating and an 88% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 72 on Metacritic. Ethan, do you have a negative review for me?
You should give me a positive review first.
You should give me a negative review
No,
first.
I think you should give me a positive review first.
I was thinking maybe you would go first.
I think maybe you should go first. Yeah, I'm gonna insist this week.
All right. Let's see.
You got a good one here from Anthony Lane? Or from
Anthony Lane with The Independent in the UK. Harold Ramis' direction is nothing special, yet there is a beautiful lip-smacking efficiency in the way that a great idea is touched off and followed to its conclusion, isn't it?
And Anthony Lane from Independent in the UK says, Harold Ramis' direction is nothing special, yet there is a beautiful lip-smacking efficiency in the way that a great idea is touched off and followed to its conclusion.
Is that your negative review?
I'm Tyler Carlin.
Oh, you just repeating things the whole episode?
Yeah, obviously. No, there's 3 negative reviews on Rotten Tomatoes for this movie, and they're all stupid.
Okay.
Well, one of them doesn't have any text as well.
Full review in Spanish.
Yeah. You should get more into the mic here, like we were at the
more
beginning. But
into
no,
the mic?
like straight on, like you were at the beginning. I liked it.
But then you were like, you're peaking.
Yeah, because I want you to turn your game down a little bit. Not I want you to do anything different. Peter Pettigrew picked pickled peppers and Punxsutawney. Punxsutawney Hill. This is great podcast. Now this is podcasting.
Ethan, I was listening to our show when the other hosts were doing it, and they did everything exactly right. I have no complaints about the quality of the hosting, but it gave me a rare opportunity to listen to our format. And something that I want to amend is the time it takes for us to get into our thoughts on the film. I want to cut out some, I don't want to call it fluff because I do want to cover everything in our script, but I want to present our thoughts sooner. So I actually want to skip the listener reviews and go straight into what you and I thought, to give a little teaser. What do you think?
This is one of my all-time faves.
You know, I had a feeling it was.
I've seen this movie more than most. Not quite as much as A Christmas Story, but sort of in the same vein as that, where like I've seen this movie a bunch. Every time it's on TV, one of my parents, usually mom, would have put it on. So I've seen like this movie in pieces more than probably anything else, except for A Christmas Story.
I've only ever watched pieces of this movie once or twice, and never the whole thing.
Never the whole thing.
Until yesterday. I didn't know that there was a love story.
Interesting. So this is an interesting thing about this movie. I do think it's a one on the binary. I think it's an important movie, and I don't 100% know that I can even point to why.
I think it's a one as well. I think basking in American tradition is not always a bad thing, and I think Groundhog Day is one that we would be wise to embrace more.
In the case of American history, for sure, Groundhog Day is pretty cool. It's a great celebration of absolutely nothing.
And I didn't realize how much the Golden Circle was like a real thing.
Oh, the guys?
Called the Inner Circle. They're like a real thing.
Yeah.
They like claim, and I mean, I don't think they obviously believe this, but they like claim and push out into the world that it's the same groundhog that it's always been.
Yeah, that's always been. It's one. There's one Punxsutawney Phil ever.
Yeah, and he's like 164 years old.
They're very cool. I guess my grandmother loved this whole thing because I can remember being over at her house in the mornings for school and like watching the groundhog ceremony on television.
Like the Punxsutawney one,
like the Punxsutawney one.
Wow.
Yeah, the Golden Circle, the whatever they're called, is a real thing. I watched the video today, and the dude's just like, "Man, aren't you just a great little groundhog? You're so beautiful today, Phil." And I was like, "This is so wholesome."
They dropped him one year, a few years ago.
He's a feisty little bastard, from what I can tell.
He's a groundhog. He's not domesticated.
He's a rodent for sure.
He's like a rat of unusual size.
I did see a great. There's a prominent African American black photographer in the photo Twitter community that I follow today, and I saw a great tweet from him that said, "Hey, my bad for when I said white people didn't have culture. This is it."
Referring to Groundhog Day?
Yeah, referring to Groundhog Day. And I was like, you know what? We could do worse. We as a people could do worse.
I love the whole concept. As I love anything that builds on like the American myth. Any like tradition for the sake of harmless tradition for the sake of tradition, I think is
facts.
The best.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, if there is something about this holiday that is super harmful that I don't know about,
I am certain I would lay my life upon it that we stole this from the Native Americans.
That we stole it from the Native Americans,
as we
or
did,
it was some sort of slavery-based ritual.
Yeah,
or
that it was probably an important ritual in potentially. I don't know if this is a real thing, but potentially for the Punxsutawney people.
Do you think this is my question?
But everything in Pennsylvania is stolen from the Native Americans. It's like more stolen than the rest of America.
No, that's not entirely true. Like, in Pennsylvania, there's big Amish communities. That's not a Native American thing. That's like
but like Pennsylvania has a pretty terrible history as far as that whole thing goes.
Well, they also have terrible roads.
That's true. Some of the worst in the country. On a scale of roads, I'd rate Pennsylvania at the bottom, but on a scale of 0 to 100, I would rate Groundhog Day a 94.
85.
I guess I'm with that. I can vibe with that.
Don't get me wrong. I love this. This is a fantastic way to spend 104 minutes.
I think out of all Bill Murray movies, this is the one I think of first. This or Scrooged.
Ghostbusters.
Nope, not even close. Ghostbusters for me, for Bill Murray, falls like below Caddyshack.
Or Caddyshack would be the two that I would think.
No, this is one of the things that I think of. But this is an interesting case. I don't love to spend a lot of time talking about like the whole what could have been with a movie thing. But Groundhog Day was originally supposed to star Tom Hanks, and it would have been better in every way.
I don't think Tom Hanks would have. Tell me what you think.
It would have been different. It would have been a fairly well, not a fairly. It would have been a.
It would have been Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. They would have been like, we can't get you. We got to get Meg Ryan. And
no, it was going to be Andie MacDowell.
Why did she like write it?
No, it was just that was who they picked.
It's going to be Tom Hanks and who's Elaine from Seinfeld?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah, that's who I kept thinking of this whole movie.
No, but yeah, it was going to be Tom Hanks, and I do truly think he would have been better in pretty much every way.
I think the fact that he is. I think Bill Murray overdoes how snarky he does.
I would agree.
The Bill Murray that we meet at the beginning, you have to remember, is the Bill Murray that Rita knows the entire film.
Yes.
And I cannot imagine one day, even if he does everything right, her going from
But she doesn't know him though, right? Like she met him that day.
And they do color that. I think that they intentionally color that in by having him meet or spend time with the cameraman as well, with Chris Elliott's character.
Larry.
Larry by showing you that like he doesn't interact with his coworkers at all.
Yeah.
Ever.
That he's never asked Larry anything.
And Larry like genuinely cares about him as a friend.
Yeah.
I do say, so you don't work in corporate America. I find myself being Bill Murray more often than I'd like to be. Like just thinking of my coworkers as human beings that only exist while I'm in the building. Not all of them, but
I would say I've had the same problem. I had the same problem when I did work in corporate America. That like I don't want to say my coworkers didn't have other things. Obviously they did, but like the work was the jobs I did were the thing keeping me from doing my other things and hanging out with my friends and like being a musician and playing shows and doing all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But like I don't think I ever considered my coworkers the way I consider my normal friends.
yes. I had this problem when I got into CrossFit. All of the people that were in it would be like, oh my gosh, you're going to make so many friends doing this. And I would go and I'd be like, I don't really want to hang out with you because I already have friends.
Right. Yeah, I'm not here for that.
I'm here for the workout. And they would be there for the community. And that's fine. Like, that's all well and good. It's just like, I think the way they sell it and what they're looking for is people who need that community.
Right.
And I didn't.
And that is always awkward when you are clearly at something that is community driven that you didn't realize necessarily was going to be community driven, and now everybody is there for the community and you're not.
Right. And you're like, I just want to be done.
Like I'll take an example that we shared together was PodCon, right? PodCon, we were there to learn and to take something away, and other
And to
folks
see
were
Hank
there.
and John perform.
And other folks were there to con. They were there to be at a con, right? They were
And like
part of
meet con people.
the community, and that was something I was neither expecting nor wanted in on.
I think
at the time
it's because the only other podcasting like conference we went to, which was a conference,
was
not a
very
convention,
businessy.
was very business forward. Like, how do you grow? How do you talk to sponsors?
I was expecting to leave PodCon with the secrets, and everybody else is expecting to leave PodCon with the friends.
A picture with Justin McElroy.
With a picture with Justin McElroy and 55 new phone numbers.
And they did.
And they did, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I did not leave with the secret. I left with some of the tools to find the secrets.
I left knowing a lot about Hannah Hart.
I left knowing who Justin and Travis and Griffin McElroy were. And
I was
I think
thinking about-
beyond anything else, that was the value of PodCon.
Yeah. So there was a moment at PodCon I very vividly remember where we were walking from like our hotel to the convention center. We were in the convention center and we were like probably 20 yards from the open door, and right to our right, Justin, Travis, and Griffin are just standing there. Nobody talking to them in a very open conversation, like all standing next to each other, but very much like inviting someone to approach them. And we just walked right past. And I think I leaned over to you even and was like, who was that? And I think you were like, I think that was Arnie Niekamp.
No, I think I said that because I recognized the hair, the Travis hair.
The Travis
I
hair?
said I think that was one of those guys because we did not. This was before we at that point knew who Arnie Niekamp was. Arnie Niekamp was not a name
That's
until
true.
about an hour later.
Yeah. when I you know how some people like when they open their diary they write Dear Diary?
Dear Arnie Niekamp. Yeah, that's
Dear
your
Arnie
thing.
Niekamp.
Yeah. So Groundhog Day. I really do like this movie, and I don't even know, like, it's not the best movie, it's not the funniest movie, it's not the most heartwarming movie ever. I don't actually think that they nailed the message hard enough at the end, nor do I think that the love story is quite put together well enough. But I love this movie.
Here's what I do like is that they didn't nail the theme well enough. Is that it's this like rom-com everyone movie, right? You don't have to put on special glasses to go watch it. You don't have to be like a film person, but you do have to draw conclusions to get why the day progressed. Like, it doesn't slap you over the face with it. And I actually did like that.
I like that as well, but I almost feel like the day progressed for the wrong reasons.
Correct. I think I think you can have the love story and you can set that up, but the day should progress when he saves the homeless man.
No, I disagree.
I think he should do a true act of selflessness is what makes the day progress.
Yeah, which isn't, I mean, obviously saving the homeless man is an act of selflessness, but the homeless man was never going to make it.
Correct.
That's a lesson that he has to learn, right? That, like, you have to be able to tell who you can help and who you can't.
Yes. And he learns that twice, right? The first time he learns it is he can plan every single thing that he says to Rita throughout the entire day, so that at the end of the day she loves him. And by doing that, he will always fail.
Right. So I think you could look at it three ways, and they all of these 3 reasons are why the day progressed. And I think that 3 is too many. And I think that the collection of 3 is the wrong way. So he has to learn to properly fall in love with her. He has to become the person, not that she wants him to be, but that he wants to be. And I think he has to learn the whole routine and be able to save everybody he can save. And I think the only one of those that matters really is the become who he wants to be as a person.
Yes, be happy with yourself, because he goes through quite a dark arc. He goes from like hating himself, hating his job, expecting this promotion that he's been doing this national story every year for 4 years. He still hasn't gotten it. You know, it's not going to happen. He goes like to a really dark place where he spends like God knows how much time offing himself in the repeated day, which I did not expect. I was kind of surprised by. But then I was like, I got to put my 1993 glasses on.
No, I don't think you do. I like that it shows Phil as both a bad person and as a broken person. I really do.
Yeah?
Yeah, because like he obviously was a bad person, right? Like he wasn't not a bad person necessarily, but he was a selfish person. He didn't care about anybody except himself. And she points that out to him right at the beginning. He has to like, because that's what somebody would go through in that, right? Like he thinks he does everything right. He still can't get out. He does everything wrong. He still can't get out. And then he just can't get out. And like, I think that is the thing that everybody's gonna go through in this movie. And I don't like lore for movies that don't have lore, but I think the piece of lore that is important here is that, and Harold Ramis has never been clear on how long he survives in there, but it's been listed. What's that?
Go ahead.
It's been listed as anywhere from like 10 years to 10,000 days to 10,000 years that he goes through. Now, I don't think 10 years is long enough because he learns to do a lot of stuff.
He learns the piano. It's like maestro level.
Yeah, like Beethoven levels.
Right.
Which it takes time, right? Like Malcolm Gladwell says you got to take 10,000 hours, right? And he also sleeps.
Right.
10,000 hours to master anything, and he masters a bunch of things.
He sleeps most days. There are days where he's up till 6.
Yeah, but there are also plenty of days where he dies in the morning.
Right.
So we see Phil in 38 days. 38 separate days. Yep, that's it.
That seems short.
Well, I mean, there's implied time gaps.
Right. I do, I really like in the film how well and how many different things happen on the first day.
Yeah.
That in all 38 of those instances, I don't have to see how he deals with every problem every time. Like there's a good chunk of the movie where we don't even see the life insurance agent.
Right.
And I think that was smart. To like, I don't need 38 different ways that he deals with this guy. I need to deal with him.
This movie is a masterclass in repetitive comedy.
Yes.
Because like it can get so there. You've seen plenty of things, and you, the listener, and you, Tyler, have seen plenty of things where they either don't let the joke sit long enough, like they could have just given it one more time, or they gave it, I don't know, 4 or 5 too many times.
There's a breaking point in this film.
What is that?
And it's intentional, and it's meant to mess with the viewer, but it's the song, The Alarm.
What about it?
It's played too many times.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's played like 15 times.
Yeah, that's exactly the right amount. There's a montage of it in there where he breaks the alarm clock over and over again.
Yeah, and then it keeps happening. And it's intentional, and it works because at the end it plays, and then the radio host is like, oh, not this one again.
Right. It has to, because he has to still have the song playing when he wakes up, no matter what.
Right.
I like to think that he wakes up to that song every day forever. For
the rest of his life.
Yeah. Just as like a nod from God or whatever.
What is your awful alarm clock song?
Like what would be played on my alarm clock in hell? Like, or what actually
but
stresses
in your
me
life,
out?
in your real life, what songs have you been like, I'm going to have a song as my alarm clock, and I love this song, so it's going to get me right through it.
From freshman year through sophomore year of college, I woke up every morning to the same Linkin Park song because the CD was like stuck inside of my iHome.
Man, you just said a lot of antique words.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. The CD was like stuck inside of my iHome, and it would play the beginning of Waiting for the End by Linkin Park, which is just like a horrible noise. It's like a guitar riff, I guess, but it's all like weird, and I don't know. Go listen to it real quick. It's a terrible noise to wake up to. And anytime I hear that noise now, I'm just like, oh God.
What song was it?
I think it's Waiting for the End.
There it is. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, I woke up to that every morning for 2 years.
So I have 2 of them. One of them freshman year of college. Stephen Plotz, my roommate, the nicest man I've ever met, the man I strive to be like every day. Lay Me Down by the Dirty Heads. He was like,
I would never, because I love that song, and I would not want to ruin that song for me.
He was like, this song, hey man, it's about waking up. It's a great track. It's got like dynamic rhythms and stuff. So it'd be a great song to wake up to. We did that for 4 months straight, and I love that song still, but it was getting to me. The other one is also Linkin Park. It was The New Divide or whatever the Transformers song was. Yeah. But I've got one that is actually worse. This has never happened to me. No. It was like,
so
So give me reason. It was literally like, you remember how ringtones would always have like a drum beat right as soon as they started playing? It would be like,
Yeah.
So give me reason.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about like old VZW ringtones.
Yeah, like I paid $3.99 for that alarm. The other one, now this is not mine, but I still cringe thinking about it. It is the riff and then the rest of the song in With Arms Wide Open by Creed, where at 6 a.m. in the morning, your stereo just goes and then it plays the rest of that song.
That's higher, by the way. Higher by Creed.
Ever.
Higher by Creed. Can you take me higher? To a place where blind men see.
There's a Creed Renaissance. There's a Nickelback
There's
Renaissance.
not a Creed Renaissance. There will never be a Creed Renaissance. Creed can stay burnt.
No.
Nickelback, I think, got the short end of the stick. I would love to know. Okay, so I just said a lot of words that didn't connect to each other in any way. Anyway, Nickelback recently was like, you know what? Somebody made a sea shanty out of Rockstar on TikTok. We're going to join them in that sea shanty on TikTok. And like all of Nickelback was just like in it. Like Chad Kroger's wearing a captain hat standing on a boat doing the sea shanty. And like I gotta wonder what it's like to be Nickelback, right? Where like you obviously before 2020 happened, they were touring, right? They were a successful touring act. They sold out shows around the world constantly. One of the biggest one of the bands that has managed to remain relevant and successful in rock music, and like one of the last bands to truly make it in rock music, like traditional rock music. And there's a corner of the internet that hates them so much. Like what is it like to be Nickelback? And like you're like, man, because you gotta look at it and be like, what if people actually don't like us? And then you go play a sold out amphitheater show that night. You're like, I think they do though.
I think what happens is you're Chad Kroger or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And you get up there and you sing Rockstar, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, right. I did all of these things. I'm super rich and I love my life and it's awesome.
Well, the wild thing to me is I think
single mirror, not so I don't get them wrong.
I think the wild thing about Nickelback is that like out of all the things that a band can do, Nickelback was guilty only of the crime of writing songs that kind of sound like each other.
Which every band does.
Every band does.
That's what
especially
makes it a
rock
band.
Music.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever heard a song and been like, oh, that kind of sounds like, that's why.
Yeah. We just mixed up two Creed songs.
You mixed up two Creed songs. I would never. I know which one Higher is.
Those are the two big ones.
That's true. Those are the two big ones. Also, Nickelback rips, my dude.
Yeah,
Nickelback is sick. For all the right reasons, that whole album by Nickelback that's got Rockstar and Photograph and also like Side of a Bullet on it.
Side of a Bullet.
Animals and Follow You Home.
We're
that
old
album
people, dude.
rips so hard. It is unreasonable. There have never been fatter, chunkier guitar tones ever recorded in human history. You listen to the beginning of Animals, and they can't. The tone is so thick they can't get all the way around the note before the next one happens. And just like
it's the drums,
beefy,
it's the big
beefy drums, big toms.
Yeah.
And people are like, yo, this is the worst band ever happened.
You're wrong. Listen to Side of a Bullet. Play Halo 3 and listen to Side of a Bullet and tell me you don't like that song.
I remember a couple years ago, Nickelback put out a song called like Feed the Machine or whatever.
That sounds awesome.
And it was the same day that a like popular deathcore band called Suicide Silence put out a song. And the whole part of Twitter that I exist on was like, how did Nickelback put out a heavier song than one of the most preeminent deathcore bands on the same day? Like, how is that possible? Because it's just riffs, just absolute riffs.
That's one thing that I think is lost in a lot of music these days is the
beefy fat riffs,
the virtuoso guitar.
I don't know if I would call Nickelback virtuosos of the guitar.
No, but like imagine
the one solo that on that album that was like good was played by a dead guy that the song was written about.
But imagine a rock band that like Steve Vai was touring with. Like, you just don't get that anymore.
No, you don't. But you also never got that. Steve Vai was never in like the Bare Naked Ladies. Like he plays instrumental shred guitar.
Yes.
Like, that's his genre. And Steve Vai is incredible. Don't get me wrong. I will never be able to play like Steve Vai ever. Like I'm too far behind the ball at this point.
You can go learn from him himself.
You know
those
what?
clinics.
I would cry. I would sit down in a room with Steve Vai and I'd be like, man, I haven't thought about you in 10 years, but God,
now,
it's been a good 10 years.
Now you're all I can think about.
If the world had to happen exactly like this for me to meet Steve Vai, like maybe it was all worth it.
Steve Vai, listener, if you don't know who that is an amazing
Yeah, go
guitar
look up
player.
Steve Vai and then go look up Joe Satriani, who's just better.
But like,
Go listen to Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson.
isn't Close to Dover its own like metalcore band?
What? No. That's just a
listen
song.
to-
You know what song that is from Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah, I know that song.
Yeah. That's
that
some
Steve
that's some
Vai?
guitar playing.
But like Eddie Van Halen was like Steve Vai.
Yeah. Steve Vai could not have happened without Eddie Van Halen.
Correct. So why don't we get those artists anymore? That's what frustrates me. Is like if you want to see that, you have to go. What was the name of that like band that makes fun of classic rock called like Sex Panther or
Steel
something?
Panther?
Steel Panther.
Yeah, those dudes are way better than the guitar player in Maroon 5, for sure.
Yes.
So the problem is you took a bunch of really good guitar players and really good drummers and really good bass players and really good singers, and you started calling them stuff like butt rock and started making fun of them. And then the music industry was like, bands are out entirely. We don't do bands anymore.
We do Jack Johnson.
And those dudes were like, okay, so I guess we'll be in Imagine Dragons. Everybody was like, Imagine Dragons is the worst band ever. They're worse than Nickelback. Those dudes are like, okay, so what do you want from us? We want you to shut up and make your money.
do studio work.
Like Adam Levine from Maroon 5 is an extremely gifted singer.
Yes.
That dude's got absolute pipes.
Yes.
And if you want, like, not that Maroon 5 music isn't good. Now, it's definitely been better, and it gets worse every time I hear a song by them.
Yeah.
But
Every time I listen to a song that's not like songs about Jane, I'm like, oh, I hate this.
no, even more recently, like, I'll go back and listen to Moves Like Jagger, and I'm like, this song slaps. But, like, Adam Levine talent absolutely wasted. If you want,
Yeah.
if you want terms of, like, good, like, virtuoso music, and like, good music, air quotes, like,
Then we need more Adam Levine.
the industry is just crushing it out of people. They're not
just-
those kinds of talents aren't rising to the top anymore.
It's so I actually saw a TikTok about this not too long ago, and it was talking about how the industry now only is interested in vocal timbre.
Yeah.
It is not interested in any way with your technical ability.
Because
at
technical
all.
ability doesn't matter anymore. Autotune has gotten so good that it's unrecognizable.
Right.
But if you sound good, they can do whatever with you.
Right. And so it doesn't like everybody can play guitar. I mean, not everybody can play guitar, but like a guitar sounds like a guitar.
Yeah. You
And
can
I know
tell
that's
the computer can do it for you.
right. That's
Now
a
it can't
generalization.
do what
but,
Eddie
like,
Van Halen does,
but they don't want Eddie Van Halen.
but it can do what the dude from Maroon 5 does.
yeah.
Like you could
And
plug This Love into a computer.
You don't need drummers at all. You don't need drummers even a little bit.
Nope, unless you're in like a metal band.
Yeah. Although it'd probably be easier to MIDI file some double bass than to actually kick your feet that fast.
Yeah, but that's like there's still there's to some extent in like it's in scene music or whatever. There's still some remnants of like you got to be able to play it on stage or it doesn't count.
Not in COVID.
Well, not in COVID, but like that's the assumption behind it is like that music can't be air quote fake. You use backing tracks or whatever, but like your drummer should be able to play his drum parts or you're not really doing it right.
We just perform it acoustic. It's just me and the other guitar player. We just go up and we just
With acoustic guitars, tuned to drop F.
But this is the thing is that we are old farts, right? That's the issue with this whole thing is that like
Yeah, for sure.
we're sitting here like they don't make it like they used to, and it's like, well, better embrace the future. We'll be left behind.
Yeah, to some extent, but I'm also like thinking about like this has just been like the last 5 to 10 years, really.
That's a long time. There's only been rock music for like 100 years. No, like 70 years.
Right, but like most of that 70 years was sick. Like there was good bands in the 2010s, there's good bands in the 2000s, there was good bands in the 90s, good bands in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s.
There's a new type of. It's interesting the way that the vocal timbre movement affects singer-songwriters, where that was like already the problem.
Right.
So it is like an interesting thing.
Where like if you could sing pretty decently and you had the right sort of like sound.
then like you would exist in that world.
Now I'll say that talent creeps through every now and then. That Louis Capaldi dude can sing. That dude's got pipes.
Who's Louis Capaldi?
He does the Before You Go song that's popular on TikTok.
I like who's that one guy with the fingernails?
With the fingernails.
I sent you a video that he did today. He's like super famous.
I have no idea. I don't remember
Oh,
this.
I'll have to pull it up. He's like super famous, and now I feel stupid.
My phone is updating right now.
Hold on. Let me pull it up. Charlie Puth.
I hate that guy.
Really?
I hate that guy. I mean, you sent me that video and I was like, maybe I'll start to like him more because of TikTok or whatever, but like, I cannot stand that dude's songs.
Well, that video was just making fun of Ed Sheeran.
I know it was, but like, and I thought that was funny that he was like, I'm going to play on the bit because that bit is hysterical. Like,
Playing over
let's
Ed
play
Sheeran.
over Ed Sheeran.
It's because Ed Sheeran's not on the app. He doesn't have time for TikTok. He's not making one sitting on his couch like...
No, he's historically like not a participant of media like at all.
Right, but you like he could do TikTok. I want one TikTok.
Right, but he doesn't have any desire
to.
to, nor does he need to. He's Ed Sheeran.
I know.
He'll eventually release Subtract and go octuple platinum. And it'll be fine. Like,
I think people don't like Nickelback because they're the last rock band to be rich. That's why they don't like them.
yeah, they were the last like rock band to like make it
Yeah. Like in the 90s when you could go platinum and that set you up for life.
for forever. Yeah.
Right. Where now if you go platinum, like you can live on a $30,000 salary this year.
No, I mean if you go platinum, you're still doing pretty well.
You think?
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
at least
know.
before COVID.
You'd think that COVID would help streaming musicians.
People love to complain about streaming music and the revenue for streaming music or whatever. But like, I promise you, dudes that play, if you're on a record label, like even if you're like an indie band or whatever, and you're signed to like Sub Pop or Interscope or whatever, like you're still doing fine. Like the Mountain Goats make a pretty solid living. They're not rich, but they do well, playing half sold out clubs every night.
John Darnielle, is that his name?
Yeah.
John Darnielle?
Yeah.
Does not strike me as the I want to be a millionaire type.
No, but he's also like, they've never had songs on the radio for the most part, like even like alternative radio, and they're like indie rock and whatever, and they're doing fine. They will admit that they're doing fine. They have to work hard to do fine. They have to play a bunch of shows, but like even like it is impossible for Drop the Girl to make music or to make money like the Mountain Goats do.
Why is that?
Because we are categorized the way we are.
You don't think All Time Low makes Mountain Goats money?
I think there are a few examples. Also, All Time Low was signed to a major label and then like failed off of it.
It was never a phase, Mom.
I think All Time Low is more popular right now than they have ever been.
Hot Shell Ray? You don't think Hot Shell Ray's making money? AJR? They're not really you guys.
No, that's
Those
what
are
I'm saying.
more like-
AJR makes pop music.
Yeah. So does Hot Shell Ray.
But
So
like
that doesn't really count.
that's what I'm saying is we couldn't suddenly decide that we make pop music.
Haley Williams. You don't think Haley Williams is a millionaire?
I'm not saying that. You're not letting me finish my point.
All right.
Okay, so I do think Haley Williams is a millionaire. I think Haley Williams has had to work a hell of a lot harder than this is a bad example because they're like famous producers. I was gonna say Benji and Joel Madden from Good Charlotte.
Well, that was the 90s, man.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like Haley Williams has had to, and Haley Williams and Pete Wentz and Patrick Stump and Brendan Urie have had to work a lot harder for their money than the dudes in Green Day and Sum 41 and Good Charlotte. And
Yeah.
Paramore was the last band to make it.
Paramore.
Paramore and All Time Low.
I would say of like the 7 bands you just named, Paramore is by far the best.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
Like I love Fall Out Boy and I love Panic at the Disco.
Paramore's not the best out of those.
You
I
don't
like
think?
Paramore. I don't like them more than Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco or Green Day or Day to Remember.
Day to Remember. I bet those dudes are millionaires.
Yeah, but they broke the industry.
Yeah, they were like, screw you.
So they were the,
They
like,
hit it.
They were the last pop punk band to like make it.
Yeah.
That was 10, 11 years ago now that they made it.
They were like, screw you.
And
Who
everybody
picked
else
them?
has been like, okay, so we're just stuck. Like we're never gonna get paid. Like we're playing the same shows as the Mountain Goats, but they're getting 4 times as much money. Nothing against the Mountain Goats. It's just like if the Mountain Goats play the Broadberry in Richmond, they make more money than like if the Wonder Years play the Broadberry.
Wonder Years. I bet those guys still need regular jobs.
Those guys do not need regular jobs, but they are not millionaires.
No, they're probably like, I would put them in the $50,000 a
Yeah,
year.
the lead
category.
singer was like, I make as much as a teacher a couple years ago.
Yeah.
From the band, which is great, but also like they were the last band to get that. Like very few people have made that since then.
So when we were watching TITV in like 2007, 2008, I was under the impression that those guys were millionaires. I genuinely think they made less than $100,000 each.
They definitely made less than $100,000 each. Yes.
Like during that entire
But so did Pete Wentz, Patrick Stump, and Haley Williams, and Brendan Urie, and Gabe Saporta.
Fall Out Boy did bigger than... Fall Out Boy was never making Cobra Starship money. Cobra Starship was never making Fall Out Boy money.
No, but Fall Out Boy made more money last year than they did in any year prior.
I would believe that. You remember when Fall Out Boy was like, hey, Elton John, do you want to do a song with us? And you and I did a radio show about it, and we were like, can you imagine Fall Out Boy booking Elton John? And now I feel like it'd be the other way around. And I'd be like, can you imagine if Elton John got Fall Out Boy to play with him?
Fall Out Boy, I would say Fall Out Boy made more money off Save Rock and Roll than they did the previous 4 albums combined.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause it was like a radio album.
Yeah.
Danny and Zach were talking about them.
But that's the thing is, if I made Save Rock and Roll right now, the industry would combine to be like, okay, pop punk kids, sit down.
You don't think Elton John being on the album would help
Okay,
you?
well, maybe Elton John being on the album would definitely help. But I think that's the thing is like I would not make the same money doing that music. I would not make the same money off a billion streams a billion's a lot. I would not make the same money off 5 million streams than like
What would make you more money? 5 million streams or 5,000 albums sold?
5,000 albums sold.
Really?
Yeah, hands on the floor. Yes. If I sold 5,000 vinyls,
No. Like CDs.
Still, profit margins aren't that much different.
Dang.
The streaming revenue is nothing.
We should sell 5,000 albums.
But like if I made 5 million streams and Jason Isbell made 5 million streams, he makes more money than I do.
Really?
Yeah. He's a bad example because he owns his own record label. I'm trying to think of like
It sounds like you got to open your own record label.
I definitely. And then release Jason Isbell quality music. Now, don't get me wrong. Jason Isbell makes better music than I will ever be able to no matter what.
Yeah. When you meet guys like John Darnielle and Jason Isbell, or like you find them,
Those dudes are better songwriters than...
do you ever get so mad? Like, oh, there are bounds to creativity I didn't even know existed.
There are bounds that are beyond... Like, if I came up against the edges of my abilities as a songwriter, I would never put those words together in that way.
It never come close to the way
But at the
these
same
guys
time, the Mountain
bring
Goats
things.
writes absurd music about... John Darnielle writes absurd music about whatever he wants. It's like I was singing a Mountain Goat song to myself today, and I was like... And there's a line in this song. It's a song called Golden Boy, and it's about this brand of Chinese peanuts that doesn't exist anymore.
Nice.
And there's literally a line in that song that says, there are no Pan-Asian supermarkets down in hell, so you can't buy Golden Boy peanuts. And I'm like, how would I explain to an outsider that not only is this my favorite band, but this song also rips very hard? Like, how do I present that line to somebody and make it make sense?
Here, let me loop us back into the topic at hand. Could Bill Murray in Groundhog Day write a Mountain Goat song? Like if I was given 10,000 days where I didn't age and there were no consequences, could I find?
Yeah, Bill Murray
the
could
ends
have
of my
written one of the greatest albums ever made.
You think?
Yeah, because not only did he live through the highest highs, the lowest lows, he committed suicide like probably 100 times, maybe more.
And if we talk about 10,000 days, we just discovered that's about 27 years.
And got away with it and like did all these things and did whatever he wanted and got away with it and did whatever he never wanted to do and got away with it and lost the meaning of time entirely. Yeah, I think that could compel somebody to write a pretty good album.
And he didn't
But you
even write a
still have to
novel.
be the right person, right? Like if you put John Darnielle in that situation and you put Bill Murray in that situation, John Darnielle's gonna come out with a better album. He's going to find a way to put those experiences into words better. Because John Darnielle I have lived through some things that no 27-year-old should be expected to live through. And John Darnielle has been through things that I could never imagine and has put those experiences into songs in ways that like make them make sense to me, a 27-year-old who's never done meth ever.
I've never even seen meth.
I've never even seen meth.
If
I know
somebody
what
was
it
like,
looks
hey,
like because of Breaking Bad. I was
somebody
not
was like-
on the verge of dying because of a meth and heroin addiction, and then like just cold turkeyed my way out of it and moved to Iowa and fell in love with a librarian and had some kids together.
You know what's so crazy is I'm willing to bet like when all of that was happening, it was not as poetic as it sounds. That's what always blows my mind about those stories is how
John Darnielle's pretty straightforward with how it wasn't that poetic, and he is just like some sort of freak that turns it into poetry.
right. Like you don't think about and then I fell in love with the librarian. You just think about like and then I fell in love with Stacy, whoever that is. Because when you're in it, they are their identity.
Right.
Right? It's always very interesting to me. I fell in love with the girl from Com 222.
Yeah, but she was just Debbie.
She was Emily.
Yeah, but like, first of all, you can't write the song and name it after your wife. Like that's
Why
too.
not?
That's because that's too on the nose.
Well, I can't write songs about my exes.
No, you can
My
write
wife
songs
will
about
be
Emily.
like-
You can't name her Emily.
Oh, right. Yeah, because if I wrote a song about my ex, my wife would be like, "Why did you write this?" And I would be like, "I don't know. I did not enjoy it at all. It was a very painful experience."
I mean, that's part of art. Is you're supposed to turn the pain you felt and the things you went through into beautiful things that help other people not be sad anymore. Mm-hmm. And honestly, Bill Murray doesn't do any of that in this movie.
No, he learns how to play jazz.
He learns how to play somebody else's songs, which is a cop-out.
Well, he's still an actor, and I think he's the one playing the piano. So that to me,
I will believe anything about Bill Murray. So that's the thing is like Bill Murray's whole thing is that like he doesn't have an agent. He like you call a phone and you pitch him your movie and he calls you back and says, "Yeah, I'll do it." Right? It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Wes Anderson. Everybody uses the Bill Murray pitch line.
What is the Bill Murray pitch line? Oh, you mean like the phone?
Yeah,
line.
the phone line. You call the phone. Wes Anderson calls the phone. Quentin Tarantino calls the phone and says, "Hey, Bill, I've got a movie for you. I want you to play a gangster that murders people." I'm imagining an imaginary Quentin Tarantino film where Bill Murray plays a gangster.
I do think so. I love this about him, that like he's this enigma in Hollywood and he's like accidentally a legend. I am afraid that he is. I mean, he won't be with us much longer, I don't think.
Why?
Isn't he like 80 something?
I don't think so.
You seen pictures of Bill Murray?
I don't think he's that old. He is 70.
Oh, well, we got some time then. He does strike me as the smokes a pack of cigars a day type, though.
He strikes me as the smokes pack of cigars a day, but like that will be the reason he lives to be 112. Right. Because he's Bill Murray, because he has to live to be 112, right?
Well, like he just like he's the next Betty White.
Yeah, like he's the most interesting man in the world, right? Like it will just happen for him.
Right.
He's everything he's there for by accident, right? Like it just happens to Bill Murray. That's the thing, is like Bill Murray's whole thing is like you read the trivia on any IMDb movie he's in, and they're like, this XYZ lines were improvised by Bill Murray for no reason, and just like he just made it up, didn't have direction in the script or whatever. And so like it has come to the point where I'll believe anything you tell me about Bill Murray.
There's a scene in this movie, maybe I looked down for a second and I missed some necessary context, but there's an entire scene right in the middle of this movie that I think Bill Murray was just like, just throw this in there, see what happens. It's when he gets out of the car at the movie theater in the cowboy costume with the girl who's only in that scene.
Yeah.
What is happening?
It's fantasy. He's just living out his fantasies.
He's just doing his thing.
Yeah. So there are people do have a lot of legitimate complaints against this movie for a specific reason of like what he does to these women is wrong and horrible.
Yeah, 100%. But it's also impossible.
And that it's a bad movie because of that. And I do disagree with that, because like never once have I watched this movie and been like, I should do this to women.
This is how
I should find everything about their pasts out and use it against them. I've never had that thought watching this movie in my life.
He's also in an impossible situation with no consequences. He breaks all sorts of laws and social convention. That's like the whole point.
That's the commentary, right? Is that man left to his own devices will do these horrible things. And I don't think that's man like the male. I think that's man like the species.
I do think it'd be interesting to see to like even read a script or to see a film, Groundhog Day, if instead of Phil the Weatherman, it was Jane the Weatherman. What would she do? What would a woman do with endless consequence?
I would back that remake on Indiegogo, like right now. Here's the real thing. Ocean's 8 slapped.
You liked it?
Loved it.
Really?
Loved it.
I did not love it.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. There are reasons to not like it, and there are bad reasons to not like it.
I didn't dislike it because it's an all-female cast.
No, I don't think you did. I think a lot of people did. I don't think you did. I don't think it was the greatest storytelling I've ever seen. I think it definitely has its flaws.
It's not the same quality story. It's not Soderbergh. That's the biggest.
It's not Soderbergh for sure. Yeah, you just it doesn't feel like it fits as much, but I did love it. I am on board for all of this. Like you want to make X movie you want to remake X movie with an all-female cast and see if it sticks. Go for it.
What'd you think of Ghostbusters? We did that one on here. It's had some time to sit with you.
I think we did it the disservice of like watching the original Ghostbusters and then watching the 2016 Ghostbusters.
We did it
and saying
service.
What?
Of watching Ghostbusters 2 and then watching it.
That's true, but it is I think going against original Ghostbusters, it is an unfair fight.
I do too.
Not to say that like it can't be a good movie because it's women. It can't be as good because it's new.
So here's my proposal. We remake Pirates of the Caribbean with Captain Jane Sparrow.
Yeah, 100% on board.
And you go full tilt with it. You get like Helena Bonham Carter to do it. Like somebody who would really go above and beyond.
Yeah, 100%.
Johnny Depp level.
100% it. 150% it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I see no problems with this.
I think what you don't do is you do Jane Sparrow, Captain Jane Sparrow, with like Kate McKinnon.
I think you still call her Jack.
Oh, you call her Jack?
Yeah.
You like the same script and everything.
No, I don't think you have to have the same script, because I think that they're like... I think you highlight the stupid stuff that Jack Sparrow does that a like proper thinking woman with a head on her shoulders would never get herself into.
Do you think Jane Sparrow, Jane only so that we can differentiate the characters, still has these relationships with the busty women in Tortuga?
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think that we can just start making the assumption and the assertion that all pirates are at least bisexual.
Yeah.
Especially all sailors. Like, that's a real thing in the U.S. Navy.
Oh, God. We're going to get some DMs on that one.
Every dude I know in the Navy under the age of 30 identifies as bisexual.
We lived in a Navy town. That was a lot of dudes.
Every dude I still know in the Navy under the age of 30, that I still know to this day under the age of 30, identifies as bisexual, at the very least. I know a lot of flat-out gay dudes in the Navy.
That was the thing with Caesar, right? Was that like he got kidnapped by pirates, but then it was like
he did?
My eyebrows. Yeah, it's like a thing.
Julius Caesar, the salad dressing dude himself,
and the pirates. The listener can't see, but I'm
I think going forward, you just have to assume and assert that all pirates are bisexuals.
Well, especially, like, let's take a look at the time period. There's no women on board.
I mean, there would be.
In our version of the tale, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think that
Right, but, like,
Captain
you
James
have to
Sparrow,
assert that-
Captain James Sparrow flies her flag above a boat full of women.
Do you think Captain Jane Sparrow has, like, a rainbow skull and crossbones?
No.
No.
I don't want to assume that for Captain Jane Sparrow.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I get to decide that Captain Jane Sparrow is or is not LGBT. I think she has to show us that.
I think that you just never mention it, right? It's just like a facet
I
of the
don't get to
character.
participate in this movie at all because I don't.
Right.
A, I don't want to, and B, I'm not qualified either
Right.
as a filmmaker or as a woman.
Or a writer.
Well, that would be part of like filmmaker.
Right.
Do you follow what's her name? Hang on TikTok. I gotta find this woman because she is my absolute hero. Do you follow Captain Kate McHugh on TikTok? She is the captain of of a celebrity cruise ship.
Oh, is this the one? She shows on my For You page from time to time where she is always giving you like a tour of the captain's quarters and the like, bridge.
Yeah.
It's all female crew.
And just dragging the misogynists.
Yes.
Absolutely putting them to shame. People being like, oh, you're just a diversity hire. And she'll like post a video of her and her whole crew and be like, okay, and we got the job.
I don't see a man captaining this ship.
Like there's no man in this company who could tell me what to do. This is my ship.
My boat.
She's my absolute hero. She's the best. And I love learning about the ins and outs of cruise ships because that is a fascinating like lifestyle that they lead.
We had a friend in college, acquaintance, friend of our roommate, who was a cruise ship entertainer for a few years.
Yeah, you know who's a cruise ship entertainer? Our fraternity brother Christian Allen.
Is he?
He's like still employed by Carnival.
No way.
Yeah, he was on
Hi,
a Carnival
Christian.
ship when COVID and was like stuck on a Carnival ship for like 3 months when COVID started.
God, that would suck.
But I think it's
Maybe.
crazy. It's crazy that we don't have a place to dock the cruise ships.
We do in Virginia. We have the Navy.
No. But there's like more cruise ships than they can house.
Oh.
Like, so Captain Kate McHugh is just sailing around the Caribbean constantly on her ghost ship because there's nowhere to park it. Because we can't have all the cruise ships not running at the same time.
Do you know how many blimps there are?
How many? Yeah, there's like 25.
25 on the planet. Well, on and off the planet.
I'm not shocked by that.
What? When they're like, it's the Goodyear blimp, that's like a big deal.
There's 2 of them, yeah.
There's like a 6% chance you're
You don't
looking
watch
at
a
the
lot
Goodyear
of
blimp.
golf, do you?
Do I watch a lot of golf?
You don't watch a lot of golf.
I used to love watching golf.
When you would watch golf, they would name the blimps. There's like 3 of them.
That golf blimp?
Yeah, like the MetLife Snoopy 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, so they'd be like, that's the MetLife Snoopy 2.
That would be like that's Snoopy 2 up there.
How do you get a blimp?
Also,
how do we get the bacon and eggs blimp?
Blimps move faster than you think they do. They'll be like, okay, so we're taking off today from Raleigh, North Carolina for an event in Kansas, and then we're gonna fly home.
That's
because
wild.
I think of blimps as going like 3 miles an hour.
How do I get a blimp?
I think from what I learned from that TikTok is you can just like rent one.
No. I want like the bacon and eggs blimp. Like that's bacon.
Well,
one.
so on Top Gear, And granted, I mean, a lot of what we saw on Top Gear was not the full story, obviously, because it's a television show.
It was entertainment first, not reporting.
It was entertainment first. So they did build a blimp and fly it into the Nottingham airport and get arrested.
I would like to do that.
They just built a blimp. Because, okay, so the principles of lighter than air flight are pretty straightforward. You fill a bubble with light stuff and untether it, and it just goes.
Right. And then you build a tank.
And eventually it'll stop being lighter than the air, and that's how high you go.
Right, and you build like a canister for you to exist in that is
that has a propeller on it.
Right, the lighter than you
that's
stuff above
blimping,
it.
baby. That's it. That's blimps.
We should build a Zeppelin,
a dirigible,
a freaking humdinger. What was it called? The one that blew up?
The Hindenburg. The humdinger. Jesus Christ. You remember that scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where he just like tosses a dude off the Hindenburg?
No, I don't remember that.
Somebody looks at him funny and he goes, no ticket, turns around and walks away.
I remember the scene in Up. You remember Up? Where at the end, there's a bunch of dogs flying biplanes.
What in the Wes Anderson?
I swear, Up has like one of the best first 2 acts, and the third act loses me entirely.
Okay, so Up has the
every
best
time.
first 10 minutes, and then the rest of the movie loses me entirely. I don't care about the kid or the old man after that.
Oh, I do.
He's grouchy, he's not, he's a kid, and they go on a freaking...
The bird likes chocolate.
The bird likes chocolate, and the dog can talk. God, just give me the inside of people's feelings, please. More of this.
Inside Out.
I want a very high pitched piano going like bing, 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 bing.
What about doo 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 doo?
I mean, that's a great piece of soundtrack that again comes with like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
I bet there's like a scene of them walking through the South African or South American jungle
where it plays Married Life by Michael Giacchino.
where it plays that motif.
That life motif. So you never watched Westworld?
I watched a pilot episode for the old Hash Browns.
Oh yeah, you did. Forgot about that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
More so than anything. So the guy that does the music for Westworld is named Ramin Djawadi, and he also did the Game of Thrones music, which I thought was good, but not ever like exceptional for the most part. The theme song is all right. Some of their music is better. The Westworld, there's something about the Westworld theme music, and this has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. There's something about the Westworld music that sounds like nothing else. Like almost never, with the exception of watching other movies, almost never will I be like, that sounds like John Williams. But like all the time I listen to music and to movie scores and TV scores and stuff, and just like, this sounds like Westworld, and I'm not qualified to tell you why.
I'm gonna listen to it.
I don't know the music theory. You listen to the theme song?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Typically in Westerns, I'm about to talk about my butt. Typically in Westerns,
I was going to say, tread carefully here, brother.
in Western music, there's like heavy reliance on chords that are right next to each other. It's like a C and then a C sharp.
I think that's definitely the case here.
Yeah. They did da, da, da.
There's one part right at 35 seconds in where it does like a thing. But that's not even the right notes because it's smaller intervals than that somehow working together. But I don't have the like right music theory to be like, oh, this is why that sounds like that to me.
It's that, I don't even know what it's called, but it's that old, when you like first pick up a guitar and you learn bar chords and you're like dun 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 dun. That. I don't know what it's
There's
called.
a part in Satisfied from Hamilton that sounds like Westworld to me.
You'll never be satisfied.
Like
I don't
when
have an upper lip, Ethan. This has been driving me crazy lately.
What?
I learned what I don't like about my face, and it's been killing me. My upper lip, I don't know if it's my mustache or what, but it's gone. It's gone entirely. Look at this. I'm all bottom lip.
All bottom lip?
Look at this. Look. We
gotta start posting these Zoom calls for the people to see.
All bottom lip. I'm all,
when it does
driving me absolutely insane.
Thing in Satisfied, I'm like, that sounds like Westworld. And I don't, it's like the only thing I ever think of that way. Like I'll hear a random piece of music, a random piece of TV score, a movie score, I'm like, that sounds like Westworld.
That's Westworld.
From WB&E and HBO. A new Western No, that would be awesome.
We bought Westworld. Mr. Beast and WB&E.
We bought a Westworld featuring Matt Damon.
Is Matt Damon in Westworld?
No, Matt Damon's in We Bought a Zoo.
Oh.
I think.
Yeah, he is.
Or is it Mark Wahlberg?
Oh, good question. Those guys have upper lips.
Yeah, there's a reason Matt Damon's more famous than you, bud. It's not the upper lip thing either.
I think it is.
It is Matt Damon. Matt Damon's so hot. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, I was just looking at Matt Damon on the We Bought a Zoo cover, and I was like, Matt Damon's really hot. He's just got like golden hair and like a golden smile.
His hair's brown.
Yeah, not on this picture though.
Is it blonde? Was he blonde for We Bought a Zoo?
No, it's just got great highlights in it.
What?
Look at the We Bought the Zoo photo. Just Google search We Bought a Zoo, okay, and click on images. Look at this winning smile my dude's got on his face.
Look at him go. He just looks like such a family man.
It looks like such a friendly guy. I think honestly.
For $1 million, you could not have told me Scarlett Johansson was in this movie.
No, not a chance. Also, she's a beautiful woman, and she gets outshone by Matt Damon on this movie poster.
He just looks so happy that they bought a zoo, but don't they have to like kill a tiger?
I don't. Hey, bud. Hey, Tyler. Hey, T Money. My dude, Mr. Carlin. Do you think I've seen We Bought a Zoo?
Next week on Bacon and Eggs.
Next week on Bacon and Eggs, we bought a zoo with Matt Damon.
Oh man, I would have so much fun with this one. We can do We Bought a Zoo.
I
next
recently
week.
heard. This is the best description. Somebody was describing a movie and referred to him as Interstellar's Matt Damon.
Is he in Interstellar?
Yeah, he is. Barely. He's the guy
Who
that tries
is
to kill McConaughey on the ice planet and then blows himself up. You want to talk about it? Okay. You want to talk about movie scoring. You want to talk about leitmotifs.
You talking about the
Let's talk about No
overrated-
Time for Caution from the Interstellar soundtrack.
This is a man who's talking about an overrated film.
Hold on. Okay, so what's the rating on Interstellar?
You know, Hans did Wonder Woman 84, which was a subpar film, but
Hans like
great music.
gave up Dune or gave up the new. No, yeah, he's doing Dune. That's it. 72%. 72% on Rotten Tomatoes. 72.
For Interstellar.
72. What the frick?
We know you love this movie, Ethan. That doesn't mean everyone has to.
Okay, but it's better. It's better than a 72 on score alone.
Yeah, but it loses points.
It's got Matt Damon in it.
It's got Matt Damon, Matthew McConaughey. Matt Damon. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Are you listening to No Time for Caution?
I am, yeah. It's just bum 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 bum.
But it's the motif, right? It's the fastest it's been played in the whole movie, and it's the loudest it's been played, and it's been played with the most organ in the whole movie. That whole thing has been there the entire time. It was like imperceptible at the beginning of the movie. This thing that you're hearing, that melody being played at like 3 BPM.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
If we're doing a Hans Zimmer movie next week,
We are?
no. But have you thought about the Da Vinci Code recently?
You're thinking about the Da Vinci Code because I told you I thought about the Da Vinci Code.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, last week in the hash browns, I was like, yo, I really want to read the Da Vinci Code books. I haven't done that in a long time.
Oh, man, we should read those books.
I gotta bank some more rereads first because I've read all of them.
I've got to read more books in general. So next week, what are we covering on Bacon and Eggs, Ethan? We
I have
talked about a movie.
No idea.
I wanted to do... what was it called? Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
The final Chadwick Boseman movie.
That's the one.
I'm down.
I want to go ahead and just put that into the ether.
Go for it.
I just want to... Next week, it's on Netflix.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Black Bottom. Chadwick Boseman. If you see a black Chadwick Boseman with a trumpet, cornet, perhaps. That's the
It's probably
one.
not hard to find. You could probably just type in any
Ma
of those
Rainey.
words.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Honestly, if you go to Netflix and type the word black in, you'll probably find some good movies.
Probably.
Like the worst, you're not gonna find Black Panther anymore.
It is a cornet. If everybody was
You probably
at the edge
find
of their seat
Chadwick
waiting for me to
Boseman's
figure
The
that out.
Five Bloods.
We could probably find out. No, I'm definitely
Probably find
not
Black
logged in.
Klansman. Have you seen that movie?
Black Klansman? I've seen probably most of it.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
It's got Adam Driver in it.
It sure does.
And you know how I feel about Adam Driver.
Again, this is not the thing I would point out about. Okay, like I know that Adam Driver was really good in Black Klansman, and you know that Adam Driver was really good in Black Klansman. Okay, but like I don't like to have that be the reason that anybody likes Black Klansman.
I don't know. He was so good.
I just saw too many people being like, "Wow, I really loved Black Klansman because Adam Driver was a good actor in it."
I think
Like,
it's the way you approach it. I think you can say that, but if you say I loved Black Klansman because Kylo Ren was so good in it, then I think you missed the mark.
That's true. Man, if to be fair, if you say I really just loved Topher Grace in that movie, you definitely missed the mark. Playing David Duke, the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
God, I hate the KKK.
Me too. But probably the best thing Topher Grace has ever done.
That 70s show was rad.
Yeah, but he's so good in Black Klansman. That whole movie is so good. I love Spike Lee. Spike Lee outdid himself in that movie.
Should have won the Oscar.
Yeah, absolutely. Over Green Book? Absolutely.
That wasn't the same year.
Yes, it was.
It was?
Yes.
Oh, well then yeah, 100%. I haven't seen Green Book.
Black Panther should have won the Oscar over Green Book.
Black Panther was sweet.
This isn't even a black versus white argument. There were 9 movies that should have won it over Green Book.
I should watch Green Book, is what I'm hearing.
I've watched it. It was uncomfortable. I don't want to say that I'm like the wokest person in the world or that I understand things better than anybody else, but like as a guy that's come to grips with my white privilege recently, Green Book's an uncomfortable movie to watch.
It's got Mahershala Ali.
Not in like a I like feel embarrassed for whatever. I feel like that white dude gets away with too much in this movie that stands by itself. It is an uncomfortable movie to watch. Like sometimes when people are like, oh, this movie's just a white savior thing. And I'm like, but it's got other merits. This one didn't. This one really hit that point home. I do love Mahershala Ali though. I love Viggo Mortensen. I'm not hating on either of those dudes.
I don't think it's their fault. I think they got a job and they were
No,
like, oh, this is gonna be an
I'm
Oscar-bait
so
film.
tired of blaming the actor for a script, blaming the actor for taking a job. And I
hold on.
understand that like it is your job. Nobody's forcing you to take the job. Whatever. I get it.
Let me tell you something. If George Lucas calls you in 2001 or in 2000 and says we want to recast Anakin Skywalker and we think you're the guy for the job, you do not have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't talking about Hayden Christensen.
I know.
I was
because
talking about
that-
like
George
Eddie
was
Redmayne.
wrong.
Viggo Mortensen.
George was wrong on that one.
Mahershala Ali, especially. That dude got the shaft on that movie.
Do you remember he won an Oscar?
Yeah, but he had that dude's family like beating down his door being like, you did our guy wrong.
Mahershala Ali won an Oscar. He won Best Supporting Actor like 2 years in a row.
Yeah, but he was also like terrorized for his portrayal in that movie.
Dang.
Yeah.
You remember when he got the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Moonlight and he was in it for like 3 minutes?
Yeah, it was a good 3 minutes though.
It was so good.
He made that movie.
He's got a lot of upper lip. I don't have any of that.
I love Mahershala Ali. Love him.
Does he? Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, he does. That's a handsome dude.
Oh, Mahershala Ali's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just looks like he's cut out of marble.
Yeah.
Like
Was
I would
he in
pick
Black
him. I
Panther?
would pick him for a remake of Michelangelo's David. Except
bald.
instead it's you put it up right next to David and it's just called Mahershala. and you know what? You make him pronounce it too.
Oh man, that would be good. Ethan,
The
I think
wickedly
we're at
talented Adele Dazeem. What'd you say?
I think we're at rap time.
We're
I don't
not
know
at
that.
rap time.
Are we not?
No, we're at an hour and 18 minutes.
I could have swore we started the rap and talking about the.
We've got 30 minutes left in this recording block.
Okay. Are you okay?
What do you mean?
You need a drink of water? You need a high five? What do you need?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. You seem stressed. You seem pressed.
No, I'm just saying I don't think we can cut it right here.
I'm not trying to cut it.
But like we got to rap last week and we ended short of our block. I don't think we should
We took
end.
so much time away from this podcast.
We did. I think we should get back to Groundhog Day.
I did too. So tell me more, Rita, the love story. So this, I think, was the first time I've ever watched this movie all the way through. And I really did think it was about he has to learn how to be a good person. Like he has to save the kid and save the homeless man was what I was expecting and not what it ended up being. The one thing do you feel, okay.
See, what I was expecting was he has to learn to play the piano and learn to be kind and learn to want to save the homeless man and learn to want to save the kid.
No, Ethan, it's none of those things. He has to get the most absurd life insurance policy there
He has to
is.
get the most absurd life insurance policy you could possibly get. And I love that that's the iteration that sticks because he's out so much money.
Yeah.
Like, he has to pay that now. And that's so funny.
Well, you can cancel it. And if he cancels it within...
He couldn't though. He couldn't. Not to needle nose Ned the head, Ned Ryerson.
I think after 12 months, when Ned gets to collect his commissions, he cancels it.
I don't think he does. I think Bill Murray hangs on to the rest of... I think Phil Connors hangs on to the rest of his life for dear life.
I think he also, at this stage in his life, is like, I've lived everything I ever need to live, and I want to provide for those that come after me.
Right. But also, like you get an unlimited number of days, right? When you're Phil Connors, you get to live that life as many times as humanly possible, as many times as you can imagine, till you become the person you need to be. And then you get, like, I don't know, 15, 16... 20,000 more
Days?
Like
Yeah.
if he's in Harold Ramis's original statement was that he was in that loop for 10,000 years. Now I think that's a lot. I think that's excessive. I think that is probably an excessive estimate. I think that if you put enough monkeys in enough rooms with enough typewriters, you come up with stop the guy from chewing on his steak wrong and then win the auction and then fall in love with Rita before you get to 10,000 years.
Yeah.
But I don't think 10,000, I don't think 10 years is enough. I think 10,000 days, maybe closer to it, or maybe 100 years, something like that. I think it's got to be longer than the rest of his life, right?
So you think that...
Because the idea is that Phil Connors would have never learned this in the rest of his life. This is basically a Christmas story adaptation. Not Christmas story, Christmas Carol adaptation.
Christmas. You're going to poke your eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out. Yeah, no, this is basically a Christmas Carol adaptation. He has to learn to be the guy that he wants to be for the rest of his life, right? That has to take more than the rest of his life. So when you start the clock again, I think Phil Connors hangs on to, he's, what's his name? Joe Gardner from Soul. And he doesn't know what he's going to do with the rest of his life, but he's going to live every minute.
Here's my question. After 100 years in a loop, you can't just be married to a normal person, right? This is the Captain America problem, where like on the morning of 9/11, Peggy's like, "What a beautiful September day," and Steve has got to be like, "Yep, nothing gonna happen today."
Right, but he doesn't live through. He lives through loops.
Right, but he's had all these experiences. He's had all this knowledge gained. He has the wisdom and talent of somebody who is 100 years older than him.
Right, but he also never gets to see the snow melt.
How far away from Punxsutawney do you think you can get in 24 hours? Oh, he can't because there's a blizzard.
There's a blizzard. Yeah, there's a very convenient blizzard that blocks that bridge that gets him back to Pittsburgh. Which is just, I'm sorry, not how Pennsylvania works.
Go to Philly.
You got 4 other directions, my dude.
Yeah, it's a big rectangle.
It's a big rectangle. And there's not like, Punxsutawney doesn't have like Truman Show boundaries, right? Like, it doesn't work
here.
like that. I mean, it does because of the blizzard. The blizzard keeps him there, right? Like you can either keep going and freeze to death, or you can go back to Punxsutawney.
Do you think that they call it Pawnee because of Punxsutawney?
No, the Pawnee were an Indian tribe.
Oh, it's a real thing?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Pretty sure. The Wamapoke, I don't think are.
I hope not. Only like super make fun of them in the show.
Yeah, the Pawnee were a Native American tribe, historically based mostly in Kansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma.
So not even Indiana.
No, I think that's part of the thing. Is that
We live in that town.
Pawnee, Indiana is violently culturally appropriative.
We live in a town. I mean, we
live in a town named after a Native American thing.
I thought Roanoke was like an English word because it was the Roanoke Island, right? And they left to live with the Indians. Also, we don't live on that Roanoke Island.
No, we don't. The Roanoke tribe were a Carolina Algonquin-speaking people whose territory comprised present-day Dare County, Roanoke Island.
Pawnee is Roanoke. That's what I've learned here.
No, dude, hey, bud, did you need the name to tell you that?
No, I knew.
Tyler,
I've seen the show.
We grew up about 3 miles from the abutting city that thought they were better than us in every way and had their own school district and were better at sports.
Yeah, Eagleton.
Salem, Virginia is Eagleton, Indiana.
Yeah.
We live here actively. Have you ever seen the stuff that people go through in like our local government? It's the same.
Have you ever done like broader search on the problems with segregation in our schools? Like we always knew about it when we were growing up, but you know that we're like ranked in like the top like 5 most segregated school districts.
Yeah,
in, like,
I was like intentionally bussed into Roanoke City when I was in elementary school.
Yeah,
because they found like a white kid to go to that elementary school. Yeah, it's horrifying.
Yeah, scary stuff.
It's horrifying. If you look at the student population between Cave Spring High School and William Fleming High School, it's horrifying.
Yeah, that's the same city.
Yeah,
same 581.
And that's part of the whole independent city Commonwealth thing too. Is like it is just white supremacy that you can like keep the black and brown folks in a different part of the city and then like charge them different tax rates and stuff.
Would you ever, I mean, yeah, obviously you would, but like, do you ever think about moving to one of the other parts of the state?
Yeah, all the time.
I think about all 3 other parts of the state all the time.
Although I will say I have recently in the last month thought a lot more about leaving Roanoke than I ever have.
Yeah?
Yeah. I sort of don't have anything like, the exception of like you, I don't really have anything tying me here anymore.
Would you stay in Virginia or would you be like, screw it, man, let's go to the mountains?
I would move to
Colorado.
I would move to Richmond. I think that is the only other part of Virginia I would move to.
I would move to any of the other 3 parts, truthfully. I think if I got a job at our alma mater, I would just take it. I
would not want to move back there. I lived there as like an adult, like a townie. It's not great. I'd rather live here.
I would do it if I would do it to work at my alma mater. I don't think I would.
I have no desire to work that place at all
for anything else.
And if I'm going to live in Northern Virginia, I'd rather just live in DC.
That's not an option for me. I can't have like kids live in DC.
You can. You'll do it all the time. Your kids will go to school with like the president's kids.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I was talking to Caitlin about this morning, actually, that like DC, I think is the one like huge city that I would actually want to live inside of.
I would want to, I mean, if I was not like married and with children, I would be like, Ethan, why don't we live in New York?
I would live in like North Jersey or like New York on the Hudson.
Manhattan, baby.
I'd probably live in Brooklyn.
Or Brooklyn. Give me those Brooklyn bagels.
I mean, but I'm thinking about it realistically. Like, I like DC better than New York as like a place I would want to live.
DC is a cool freaking
DC is an underrated place for sure.
Yeah.
It's got its problems and it's had its problems for the last 4 years that kind of gave it a bad name.
Yeah, but DC's rad. Atlanta's rad. A little too warm, but rad.
I was literally talking about this earlier today about like which major cities do you want to live in. And DC I think does the best, with the exception of the Washington football team. And if they move to Alexandria, it'll be better. They do the best job of keeping the sports and concert venues on the public transport.
You can get the Washington football team from the Metro.
Well, you can.
It's like a half-mile walk.
It's a full mile.
Whatever.
It's actually more than that, but it's not like, okay, but like RFK Stadium used to be on the, like there was a stop in the parking lot. Like it used to be on the Metro.
I love the Metro.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the Verizon Center, Capital One Arena, or whatever it is a Metro stop. Navy Yard Ballpark is a Metro stop. I think Washington does like a fantastic job of keeping those things, the 930 Club RIP, the concert venues, the sports arenas on the Metro, more so than any other like major city like that. Like you can't take
Jersey.
You can't take the New York City subway to MetLife.
It's in Jersey.
You got to take the train. You got to get on a train.
Where you can drive, but you don't have a car because you live in New York.
But that was my whole thing is if I'm going to live in a major city, I do not want to park at a football stadium.
This is why I like DC, is because you can live in Fairfax and get on the Metro and be
that's
in
what I'm
the
saying.
city.
Yeah. New York has the same kind of thing. I mean, I did it last year or in December 2019. where I like got on Jersey Rail in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and just like took it into Manhattan. It was great. It's a great experience. 10 out of 10. And that's pretty freaking far out of New York. Asbury Park is a very small town on the shore. Jersey Shore is great, by the way, if you've never been. Very cool place. But would I live anywhere else in Virginia? Yeah, I mean, like, I would probably live in like Alexandria or Arlington.
If I
I don't really want to be in like unincorporated Fairfax County.
My thing is that now that I live in like a house, I would have a really hard time, and I wouldn't. I think I would like look at one and be like, okay, cool, I'll take it. But there would be a mental hurdle for me to go into like an apartment or a townhouse.
Yeah, no, but if I could afford like a DC row house.
What's a row house?
You know what a row house is.
Like a townhouse?
Well, okay.
A row house to me is where the crew team has parties.
It's like a townhouse, but it's like the original version of that. Like a Brooklyn brownstone. Like
a boarding house.
No.
With Hey Arnold's room on top.
It's like a townhouse, but townhouse implies a complex. Townhouse implies a neighborhood of identical townhouses that are in blocks of townhouses.
Yeah, that's what they all look
But that's not what a row house is.
You ever driven around Fairfax?
Right, but I don't want that at all.
Right.
I'm not talking about Fairfax. I'm talking about getting a row house in D.C. Just Google the term, please.
You talking about like where across from the White House, not on the mall side, but on the other side. Are those row houses?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Just search D.C. row house, please.
Yes, they are.
Yes, that's what I would want, right? It is an individual home.
Yeah, like the houses in where Danny Tanner lives, but in San Francisco.
Didn't watch that show.
You've seen the freaking thing.
Sure, I'd live in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's exactly the same picture.
I don't want to pick up and move to a new city and make new friends, but I think I could. I don't think I'd have a problem with that. Like, I would kind of want to go somewhere where I already knew somebody, but I also don't want to just drop in on somebody and be like, hey, friend I have in Seattle, I'm moving in down the street, across town. I live near Pike's Place. Come hang out with me. Person I haven't talked to since
you pick
college.
a city where you know somebody, and you're not dropping in, but it's like, hey, I got a job out there. Like,
I got a job out there, though, is very different from, like, Ethan picks up and moves to Colorado.
You live a very interesting life, but, like, I couldn't just go to Seattle. I would have to have, like, I got a job out there type situation.
No, I'd probably go there and get a job.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't afford a mortgage in the meantime, or rent.
Well, I have the girl that can do what she does wherever.
I mean, yeah. Everywhere sells things. I can do that anywhere. But
right, but she can walk in. She can apply across the country to a hospital and then just walk in and do the job day one and be fine.
Right.
So that is the interesting advantage. Like, it would be weird for me to be like, hey, friend in hey, John Negroni, I live in San Francisco now. What's up, my dude? You're my only friend here.
Let's be
and
best
we're not
friends.
that close.
We're not that not close.
Not that not close, but we've never met.
But you're from Lynchburg, so what do you think of
you did the thing that I just
Virginia?
did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I feel like if I got up and moved to New York, if I got up and moved to Los Angeles, people would be like, yes, that's where dreams are made of.
Do you think... See, I think I would end up doing something stupid, and I would weigh all the options, and then I would end up...
You'd land on Cedar Rapids.
Exactly what would happen. As I would end up...
There's definitely part of me that is like... So I wouldn't want to live in probably like Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, South Dakota.
I would end up in Wichita. Guaranteed.
I would not want to live in that part, but I would pick up tomorrow and move to Missoula, Montana. I would pick up tomorrow and move to freaking Colorado Springs. I would pick up tomorrow and move to Oakland.
West of Texas. All hail west of Texas.
I would pick up and move to Austin, Texas on a dare. Austin, Texas is awesome. But I have friends there.
So
and those are the kind of friends. Those are music industry friends. Those are people where I can be like, hey, I'm moving to Austin. They're like, yes, more people in Austin.
Keep Austin weird. That would be my problem. Is I would be like, you know what? I'm really excited about Wichita, Kansas, and I would get there, and the people from there would be like, the city sucks.
Yeah,
that would be my freaking problem.
Like I couldn't drop in on people I went to high school with. I could drop in on people I met 3 times at Drop the Girl shows.
You could drop in on people that listen to this show.
I could. Be like, a lot of them live in like Kansas and Iowa and stuff. It would be like, hey, don't move here.
Do you like corn? No? All right, don't come.
I will tell you, I read Universal Harvester by John Darnielle, The Mountain Goats, and he makes the idea of living in the middle of nowhere in Iowa in 1999 sound awesome.
I think realistically, I would end up in St. Paul is where you would find me. And I would complain about the weather.
I feel like the Twin Cities would be a great place to move to because it's the Twin Cities, right? Like, you don't have to... Friends make you. right? Like you walk into a bar and be like, how about them Vikings?
Yeah, the Vike City, yeah.
Oh, I had Joe Mauer. I really wish he was still in the Twins.
Joe Mauer. He was such a big deal when I was there. It's not like here.
I could pick up tomorrow and move to Green Bay, Wisconsin and be like, go Pack.
Go Pack, go. You don't want to move to Green Bay.
No, I don't. But like, I feel like I could find a home. That would be my whole identity would be like a guy who came here because he's a Packers fan.
Yeah, and they would be like, oh yeah, there's plenty of you around here. Got some cheese.
There's plenty of you around here. Yeah. Move to
like sports. You really identify with sports, huh? And you'd be like, well, actually, I'm a pretty dynamic
honestly,
person,
you made it look like a cool place, so I just came up here. I do like the Packers, though. Go Pack. And then they would cheer, go Pack, go! And then the conversation would be over. They'd be on to something else. Oh, can I get you a walleye and a pint of
I do like the idea
best?
of a city that only has football. I think that's really attractive.
Dude, I saw a great TikTok earlier that was like, it was like listing cities in America by total number of titles that they've won, like across sports.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was a top 10 list, and it took Green Bay that's only ever had football until like 2014 to fall off the list. It was like Greater New York area, Greater Boston area were the number 2. And then like everything else was just fighting back and forth. And literally the TikTok was like, yo, props to Green Bay who's only ever had football for just sticking it out.
Can you imagine if there was like the Green Bay cheese hats in the MLB? You couldn't allow that. You couldn't have 2 teams from Wisconsin in the MLB. I think they might. Milwaukee has a team.
Milwaukee doesn't have a football team though.
They're the Brewers.
They have the Brewers. Yeah, they have the Brewers and the Bucks.
Bucks
are basketball.
Giannis
Giannis Antetokounmpo is a Milwaukee Buck, and he's like one of the best players in basketball. But they are like North Carolina, where they have more than one city where the teams are.
Yes, Raleigh. I can do Raleigh.
Raleigh's not the place I'd move to. North Carolina.
Which one has the Panthers?
That's Charlotte.
Charlotte. I can do Charlotte.
I'd rather move to Charlotte than Raleigh for sure.
But Charlotte calls it Uptown. Is that right?
True. Although
Yeah,
I would move to Charlotte, or I would move to Raleigh-Durham for sure. Like either of those places.
I have to consider that in any of these places I go, I'm going to end up in suburbs. So I may as well just move to
North Carolina's got
Fairfax.
some great suburbs.
Yeah, Atlanta's got good suburbs.
Too hot. I love snow. I don't want to move south. I love snow.
You love the Twin Cities, baby.
I don't want to move somewhere where I'm going to be absolutely cluster effed with snow to the point where I hate it. Like I have 2 friends that I am in a group chat with that are in like upstate New York, like upstate. And they're like, oh, you got snow this weekend? That's cute. I hate snow. I want snow to go away forever. And I'm like, yeah, I live in Virginia. We used to get a bunch of snow, and now we really don't anymore. Thanks, global warming.
You should move to Oswego.
Oswego, New York?
Yeah.
Bro, my dad gave me several pieces of advice when I was young, and one of those was never go to Oswego. He applied to go to 3 colleges in the State University of New York. He applied to New Paltz, Oneonta, and Oswego. And he was like, I went and visited Oswego. It was the worst place I've ever been. And I grew up in Queens.
Should move to Schenectady.
Schenectady?
Yeah, Little Falls. Should move to Little Falls,
I just sold
New
the
York.
land I owned in New York.
Why?
Because it was in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I mean, was it like a lot or was it like a square foot?
It was like a parcel that there used to be a house on.
Nice.
In a town called Copenhagen, about 80 miles outside Syracuse, in literally the middle of goddamn nowhere.
Did you ever go there?
Yeah.
You were like, oh, look at my land.
Well, it was where my granddad was from.
Ah.
It was like his childhood home was built there. And it passed from him to my dad to mom, and she sold it.
You should move to Burlington. You would love Burlington.
Burlington, Vermont?
Yeah. Go ice fishing.
There is part of me that would love to, like, again, to move just like, not somewhere off the grid, but somewhere like urbanly off the grid. Like Missoula, Montana, or Burlington, Vermont, or Pierre or Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah.
Somewhere that like is in the north and nobody will bother me and it's beautiful and when you tell people you live there, they're like, oh, that's nice. I like that.
Duluth, Minnesota.
When you tell people you live in Missoula or anywhere in Montana, they're like, oh man, that's cool.
That's the best. What's the one out there? I always forget about Wyoming.
Oh, it's because there's nothing in Wyoming.
Exactly.
More people live in Richmond than Wyoming.
You would love
Not the
it.
county, like the city of Richmond. Like the small border.
Not
Wyoming is twice the size of the whole population of Roanoke City and Roanoke County put together. The whole state is, and it's bigger than Virginia. It's like 2 Virginias stacked on top of each other.
You would love Wyoming. You'd love it.
I'd rather go to Montana.
Is that the one north of Wyoming?
It is.
I couldn't have done this on a map.
I'm thinking about going to Montana or to Wyoming soon to go to Yellowstone.
You'd love it, Ethan. I mean, think about this. Average minimum temperature.
Like I said, I'm gonna buy a 77 Volkswagen microbus and drive it to Montana.
Why?
Because I want one. Van life, man.
You would hate van life.
No, I wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah, I like road trips. I'm a photographer.
So
I want to
plenty
be
of
able to traverse
photographers.
this great nation without having to pay for a hotel every night.
Sell your pictures for more.
Camping's a pain in the butt, but van camping, I could get behind.
Guess.
Wake up in the morning, make some AeroPress coffee.
Ugh.
Sounds awesome, man. Wake up in the morning, Glacier National Park.
I mean, that sounds awesome. I could do that for like a week.
Yeah, I'm not talking about van lifing. I'm talking about like taking a couple road trips in my $1,500 van.
I just feel like you'd be constantly fixing a van. But don't
It's
let
a
me,
Volkswagen.
I'm a dad.
It's got 8 parts.
I'm a dad. It's my job to be like, no, Timmy, you don't want to do that.
to put the doubt into my dreams.
Right?
God, that was something somebody said to me recently that was like, because I did that to somebody and they got mad at me for it. Where somebody was like, "Yo, this is the thing I'm gonna do," and I was like, "Oh, but you can't do that for the XYZ reason." And they were like, "Hey, man, shut up."
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I can actually. They're like, "Do you get?" They're like, "Do you get any pleasure from stomping on my ideas like that?" And I was like, "No, it actually made me feel bad." And they were like, "People do this all the time, and this is like a thing that human beings do." And I was like, "We should stop doing that." Not that I think that you're wrong and telling me that sounds awful, but it's just like, I don't know, something I kind of want to do. I'm probably not going to do it.
If you want to van life it, then van life it. I would love to tell you, come to my house to park your van, but my driveway is not big enough, so don't do
I'd probably park it in my grandma's empty garage.
You can do that, but you can't. It's a tight front yard here at the Carlin.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Hey, bud, I'm not asking you for car storage space. I'm not asking you for anything.
I only have 2 cars now. I'm very excited.
so proud of
about
you.
This. It's great. I used to have 3 cars. It's way too many.
I'm stoked to come stay at your house.
I know you're gonna stay here for like 5 days.
Yeah, 4 nights.
4
yeah.
days. 4 nights.
4 nights. I'm gonna record a podcast from there.
This desk.
Yeah,
This picture
from
of
Gamer
Mickey Mouse.
Fridge.
Gamer Fridge. You're gonna be like, it's gonna be 8 in the morning. You're gonna be like, oh my god.
Be 8 in the morning, cracking one of your high lives, recording late to the party, giving myself epilepsy.
My Gamer Fridge is full of High Life and Slim Fast, so you'll be set. That's all you need.
That's perfect. Breakfast and then beer.
It's the same exact calorie count between the two.
I didn't want to know that.
It's not. The Slim Fast is way more calories.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that makes you feel good about Slim Fast or bad about beer.
The Slim Fast, I'll tell you. The beer might say it on it because cheap beers usually do.
Right, Slim Fast has a bunch of calories, but less calories than lunch.
This actually has nutrition facts on it.
The beer?
Yeah, 141 in a Miller High Life and at 180 in the Slim Fast. So that's less than I thought.
Right, but that's a meal. Your
Yeah,
Miller High Life isn't going to fill you the way Slim Fast is.
Miller High Life is supposed to slim you to fill you for like 5 minutes until you drink another one, and Slim Fast is supposed to fill you for 4 hours.
If I drank 4 Miller High Lifes every morning, I'd probably lose weight.
That's a lot of calories. That's 600 calories for breakfast.
Well, if that was my like breakfast and lunch,
Yeah,
like if I started my intermittent fasting by drinking a couple Miller High Lifes and then eating dinner,
I think you'd store it very weird. You'd have a belly.
probably. Yeah, it is carbs.
Not too bad. Light beer. 12.2 grams of carbs in a can.
Yeah, but that's what it's bread, right? Bread makes you fat.
Bread makes you fat.
Makes you fat. All right, now it's past rap time. Whoops.
Okay. Ethan, I need a listener score.
Okay, well, stall for me because I got to add this up real quick.
So mine was 85. Is that right? And
Yeah,
you
I
were
said
at
94.
All I'm missing is a listener score here to recap on previous weeks. Last week we covered war games. Man, somebody the other day was asking me what we've been doing on Bacon and Eggs, and I was like, we took a few weeks off, and then we did something. I couldn't for the life of
it
me.
happened to somebody else.
Yeah.
I remember I said that we talked about it a bunch, and then when I was editing it, I was like, I lied.
What was that movie we did? Last week we did War Games, which came in at number 6, just edged out by Hercules, just beating Ratatouille, but all up there in that sort of top 10 range. I do think it's going to lose this week. I don't think we're going to quite get into Fellowship of the Ring territory, which is an 88. I think the Metacritic is going to pull us down, but Metacritic doesn't get that much weight.
The listener score is low on this one. I can tell you that just by looking at it.
Really? You don't have to count every one of Mary Clay's 75s. It felt more honest. Sometimes you do the listener score and people will really overscore or really underscore something. This to me felt a little low, but honest. Also felt like Groundhog Day isn't Interstellar, so people are afraid to like give it 85 plus, which like
I agree with that. I think that, like this one suffered from like the way you score figure skating. This one suffered from lack of degree degree of difficulty.
Right.
The listener score is a 76.
That brings the Bacon and Egg score to 86.15.
Man, my
Now
94 is doing a lot there.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely
we are hanging out.
offsetting the listener score.
We are hanging out still below Fellowship of the Ring, but only just. And we've had a lot in the 85 to 90 range. This beats out Hercules and comes in at number 5 overall.
After It's a Wonderful Life and the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
Wild. I will say, Mary Clay was the one in Discord that did the bit, it's a classic Bill Murray movie, which I did try to make a joke out of that in the listener review section that Tyler just skipped. Apparently we're not doing listener reviews anymore.
No, we are. I told you I want to come back to it. Do you have any listener reviews?
It's too late to come back to it now, bud. Hey, there's a way to do it. That wasn't it.
Well, I wanted to come back to it.
We have to drive listener reviews next week because we haven't had a lot the past 2 weeks, and I need them to do that.
We got to make sure people watch. That's why I'm telling you now. Next week's movie, I've already forgotten what it's called.
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Black Bottom.
So Mary Clay was the one that did the meme in Discord and was just like 75 out of 100. It's a classic Bill Murray movie, and then said that like 25 times.
Yeah.
I counted more than one of those, but I don't know how many.
So it could have beat Fellowship of the Ring, is what you're telling me.
No, because that's not how averages work. And every time I added Mary Clay's, it brought it down.
Yeah, so if you took it out,
no, I don't think it was gonna. I don't think it was gonna anyway. But I think I only counted like once or twice, 2 or 3 times.
So overall, in the end, it was 1.6 or 1.6 below Fellowship. So we're very close to finding something that will beat it. I will not be surprised if we do next week.
But we already found something that beat all 3 of them.
Right, I know. But
are we going to find something one day that separates them is the question.
There's a pretty sizable difference between Fellowship and Two Towers. I wouldn't be surprised if we do.
I think we'll end up slotting several movies in those gaps. If we've proved anything over the past 3 years of this podcast, we will find ways to slot things into those gaps.
Yeah.
Although it is less subjective than this year than it has in the past, where I was like, I feel like this one was better than Ant-Man, but not better than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It does take a lot of pressure off of me to have this.
To be like, hey, I really liked this movie more than Don't Kill Me, Toy Story.
Toy Story or Groundhog Day?
Toy Story. Although Groundhog Day with Tom Hanks above Toy Story. I just want to come back to this real quick. There's a point I forgot to make earlier. I think the rom-com element of this thrives under a Tom Hanks Groundhog Day. I also think more in the Tom Hanks version, you feel for Phil. If Tom Hanks is Phil Connors, you really connect with Phil. You feel every day of his imprisonment.
Bill Murray looks too much older than Rita. Like, I don't know that if he is or is not. But like, in 2021, I don't see relationships between people of this age gap occurring in this way. I don't see any relationships occurring this way because nobody lives in a time loop that I know of, that I can observe.
No, it seems like a lot of people in our generation date people mostly their age, more so than previous generations. And part of that is more of us went to college.
Well, and I also think that like it could be an our circle thing, could be. That's just
there definitely exists outside of our circle more than it does in our circle. But like, we went to college and we know a bunch of people who went to college and we know a bunch of people that married people they went to college with.
Right.
And like a lot of our parents, our parents' generation, I know your parents met in college. Mine did not. A lot of people our parents' generation didn't meet in college and therefore have different age gaps because they just met like out in the real world where not everybody's forced to be the same age.
Right. Anyway.
Also, I learned that through watching this and talking about Tom Hanks being in this movie that my girlfriend thinks that young Tom Hanks was hot.
I thought everybody thought that.
I didn't know that. I was not aware that Tom Hanks was hot. I need to confront her about that later because I forgot to do that earlier. I need to learn how she feels about young Tom Hanks because this is disturbing to me for some reason.
Do you trying to look like young Tom Hanks?
No, I just would never have thought of Tom Hanks as being hot.
Oh, even Sully could get it.
No. Tom Hanks is strictly in his old age not hot.
Do you see him with a mustache in Sully?
I have. Yes, I have. But he's not hot. He looks like
he looks like Sully Sullenberger.
Yeah, he looks like Sully Sullenberger. He's a character actor, right? He's not supposed to be hot. He's like Steve Buscemi.
No, not like Steve Buscemi.
No, he's not.
Watch Castaway.
He's not like Steve Buscemi. But like, if you told me like, hey, I think Paul Giamatti is hot. I think Edward Norton is hot. I'd be like, really?
I would believe the latter.
I wouldn't.
If somebody was like, I think Paul Giamatti's hot, I'd be like, oh my God, did you watch Adams? Can we talk about it?
You like Paul Giamatti? I like Paul Giamatti.
Now I have to watch Adams because somebody's going to DM me on Instagram and be like,
Adams fires Hamilton, privately calls him Creole bastard in his taunts.
Say what?
Hamilton publishes his response.
Sit down, John, you fat mother. Thank you for listening to Bacon and Eggs. This week's episode is brought to you by
Tom Hanks is only 7 years older than Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is way hotter than Tom Hanks.
You're into fit guys.
Matt Damon's hotter than Tom Hanks. For sure.
Have they ever worked together? That's what I want to know.
Bisexual just for Matt Damon? Does that count?
Might be. I honestly, when we were having this episode, I saw that you were wearing that rainbow t-shirt and I was like, good allyship, Ethan. But then the more we talked, I was like, did Ethan learn something about himself these past few weeks? And that was my journey through this.
This is the Adventure Zone t-shirt, by the way.
Oh,
this is a Tacos Good Out Here t-shirt.
Oh, good out here.
Yeah,
well,
it does.
That's
from the angle that I'm presenting it on the screen, it looks like a rainbow that just says "good out."
I think it is a pride thing, right?
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah,
like good out here.
Yeah, out of the closet. Yeah, that was the whole thing, and it like benefited the Trevor Foundation, Trevor Project, or whatever it is.
Yeah. But it's also taco in the elevator thing.
Yeah, I have no desire to quantify that about myself, honestly.
You don't have to. Nobody's pressuring.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're pressuring me. It's just like, I know that is important for some people that are in heteronormative relationships. It is not important for me to think about.
You don't have to.
I know, I just didn't want people to think that I was like coming out on this. This is not how I would choose to do that if I was.
Well,
I would mention it much less casually. Are you going to turn on pride lights on the gamer fridge? Like, what is happening?
It's not the color I thought it was.
Anyway, this has been Bacon and Eggs. I've been Ethan Edgehill. Our graphics are by Vaishon Brandon, graphite.vmb. Cool stuff on the way from graphite.vmb. Look for that. Our music's by Andrew Scott Bell. A shout out to Julia Kendall for joining us on the Bacon and Eggs Network the WP&E Podcast Network with her show Unsobered. It's a good time. I'm really stoked to have that. She talks about badass women in history, and I love that.
We're gonna say badass on the podcast now.
Hey, T, we've been saying ass on the podcast for a long time, my dude.
I believe it.
I know that you don't listen to this show, but I've left the word. I've been going by like TV rules for a long time now, where I'll leave in ass, damn, and hell.
That's fine,
but not like
cool.
Fuck or shit or motherfucker. So like we could always say, if Borderlands says badass, I'll say badass.
Borderlands says everything.
Yeah, but they like print the word ass a lot. I don't like things that print the word ass on them a lot. Like the hot sauce you bought said the word ass a lot on it.
Did it?
Yeah, it's like if you look at the inside of it, it's like wimpy ass or hot ass. And I'm like, this is not funny anymore. It's not like 2009.
So you have a hot ass?
What? I have a great ass. Hot ass. FYI. For ye. Anyway, I've been Ethan Edgehill. He's been Tyler Carl. Until next week. Arrivederci.
1,000 people freezing their butts off waiting to worship a rat. What a hype. Groundhog Day used to mean something in this town. They used to pull the hog out. They used to eat it. You're hypocrites, all of you.
This has been a WBNE production. For more great shows, visit WBNE.org.